Hello everybody, it's Susan with Pumpkin Hill Stampers, and it's Friday on a week when I'm doing a trio of cards, and today is over the top stamping. So we are going to make this fun double mountain card, we'll call it, or double V card. Okay, so when you sit, it's got different layers. We're going to do some fun embellishments with some of our dies. We're going to use our circle framelits in a unique way where we get this flat bottom. And let's go ahead and put it together. Okay, so let's do our stamping first. So I'm using the sentiments from Life is Grand. I'm also going to tie in on the envelope this flourish of a vine here from Flourishing Phrases, because I'm using the dies from Flourishing Phrases to make our green and our purple flowers there. And then I used layering circle framelits. I used the scallop from it to trim out my sentiment for the front. Okay? Now remember, all the products, all the measurements, all the details, all the instructions will be on the PDF tutorial. You know where to find it? On the Show and Tell newsletter next Tuesday, so you can subscribe to that for free. Comes out every Tuesday, so anything you see this week will be on next week's newsletter. And I'm working on posting those to my website as well, so I'll keep you posted on when those become available. And like I said, don't worry about all the instructions because you can get them just by subscribing to the newsletter. All those links are below to get to the blog and to get to the newsletter, so no stress. Alright, so here is the kit we're starting with. Now this one has many more pieces than the ones we did on Monday and Wednesday, but it's the same stuff, right? Botanical Butterfly DSP. I'm using the Balmy Blue. I'm bringing in coordinating colors with the paper with the Lemon Lime Twist and the Highland Heather. Okay, so it's just all coordinated together. Remember, this strip is the back of that one. Okay, so we just cut off 3/4 of an inch when I cut my paper down. So that's not hard, it's just more pieces. So let's start with folding the card. So like I said, this card has a double fold. See? And I just used 11" by 4 1/4, so it's just a standard half sheet of cardstock. I scored it at 4 inches and 8 inches, so that makes a 4-inch tall by 4 1/4 inch wide card base. And then I took the remaining and I split it in half, so that's 1 1/2 and 1 1/2. So you flip this one up and you score it there, and you flip this one down. Use your bone folder to do the crease there, and now we've got our card base. Okay, that's not hard, it's just scoring and folding. So now from there, the next easiest piece to do is put our Designer Series paper on. So this is at 4 by, I think it's at 3 3/4 because I have a little bit all the way around. Remember, this is only 4 inches, so it's 4 by 3 3/4. So let's go ahead and put that on. So this is just going to be centered on this panel of the card. Okay. This one, we're going to die cut 2 of these little sprigs out of it on the Big Shot. I used my precision plate for that. And this one's going to cut this die on the Big Shot on the precision plate to make our flourishing vines. And then we need to stamp these guys before we can go any farther. So let's get some stamping done. I'm going to use the Stamparatus. I know I don't use an awful lot on camera, but I do use it an awful lot when I'm making multiples of cards. So if maybe you're a teacher, or if you're a mom with a lot of kids, or you're a caregiver, you're a grandma and you make cards for those grandkids, but you make them all the same card because they don't live in the same city. This is a great tool to set up your stamps and then make multiples. For me, I like to use it when I do demo swaps because I need to make the cards as similar as possible, right? And I need to make them quickly because I don't want to spend a lot of time. And I just happen to have made these for a demo swap. See, I've made 15 of these to mail out in a demo swap. So there you go. I will tell you, it took me about maybe an hour to cut all my paper. It took me about another half hour, maybe 45 minutes to do all the big shot cutting and stamping. And then I just put them all together while I was listening to Meet the Press. So that was no big deal. I got something done while I was doing something I was going to do anyway. So now I'm going to put it together for you. Okay, so I've got my one piece in there. I'm going to stamp in Balmy Blue because it coordinates with the base color of our card. I'm just going to ink up my expression just like that. And now I've placed that on there so that it lines up close to the bottom of that piece of cardstock. Okay, and now I just press firmly. I find I press a little more firmly than I do when I use my blocks, but that's okay. And see, we've got a nice print. Now let's say, for example, you didn't get a nice print, but you didn't move your paper, which is why these magnets are here. You're supposed to put your magnets down to hold it in place. That way it doesn't shift. You could ink that up again, flip it over, and press again because your stamp hasn't changed position, your paper hasn't changed position. You can either just stamp it down because you didn't press hard enough in a particular spot, or you put more ink on and you fix it. So it's really great. You don't rock. You can restamp without having to change out your paper. So it's kind of a nice little tool. I have to say I do like it. So there's that one. Now, the other one, see, this arm comes out. I can flip it over. And I put it back in. So now this one will be ready to go. Now this one I've set up in here to say make a wish and enjoy your happy birthday. So now I'm going to take this piece, which is the center of my card. Okay, I'll use my little magnets to just hold that down in place. Not that I was worried about it moving, but for those of you who might worry or you think I might need to stamp again, now I know that's where I want it. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to press that down. Let's pull it back up. See, now I missed a little bit on that swoosh of the H, so I'm going to put this back down. I'm going to press a little harder, determined right on that part of the stamp. Now I've got it, so we're all good to go. Now, did you notice something? When I flipped my stamp over, I've got my label where I can see this is a cling stamp set, our new stamp sets, and I did mount the labels to it. But did you notice when I stamped the hello? Let me flip it back over for you. When I stamped the hello from the same set, it's a cling stamp. When I stamped the hello, there's no label. Now I have a customer who bought a stamp set, cling set, and she was very frustrated and not very pleased with me that she was having a hard time with the labels, getting them to fit properly, and they were maybe too sticky, and she wasn't very happy that they weren't trimmed. So I said, okay, well, use your stamps without the labels, right? But first I had to make sure that would work. So I took out the last stamp that I hadn't put my label on. I peeled the backing off when I got it from my stamp set, and I stuck it to my block, or here I've stuck it to the Stamparatus. It works just like a clear mount stamp, but you don't have the label on it. So if you're comfortable using the stamps without the labels on them, and you don't want the extra sticky cling stamp label, don't use them. It's okay. They're your stamps. Use them the way you want to use them. So there's my little tip. So learn something new every day. That's what my kindergarten teacher taught me all those years ago, Mrs. Wilkie. She was a Disney fanatic. But she always said, learn something new every day. It'll keep you young. So that was my new thing I learned this past week, and now I've shared it with you. So now I've got these sentiments, right? So let's go. Let me show you how I trimmed everything out on the Big Shot. I'm not going to do it on camera because that would take a lot of time. But like I said, we're going to trim this out of your lemon lime twist. And I used my die brush to get that free. I did 2 of these little guys out of the Highland Heather. And I did use my die brush to get those free. And then, remember we stamped this one and we stamped it way down low? Well, I stamped it way down low because I want it flat on the bottom for my card, right? I love the circle, but I have the spot on my card. So I trimmed it off. So what I did was when I stamped it, I put it near the bottom. Then when you take your die, you just layer that to fit your shape, run that through your Big Shot, and you've got your bottom edge. So I've done that too. So now we have our pieces to get back to work on our card. So let's bring these back in. Okay, let's get this centerpiece done. So I just take my DSP. Now we've done this on the previous two cards, and I just used a little piece of DSP on the inside to give it a little extra embellishment. So just line that up on the bottom of your card, and then put your center in. Okay, so there's our center. Here's our first panel of our front. Now we're going to build these guys on here. So you could use fine tip glue, you could use liquid glue, you could use glue dots, but I'm going to show you the way I put my demo swaps together, and it was really fast. Because all of this is going to be hidden behind here, I just went ahead and put some snail down. Then I took my first floral element here and I just stuck it to the snail, and I still got some sticky pieces in there. So if you've got more sticky in there, now I'm just going to stick these two pieces in like that. Okay? Now some of mine didn't work out that well with my snail, so I did use glue dots to put those on in some instances, but not in every instance. Now, for this guy, right, we want it here, and I want it on dimensionals because I want to pop it up a little bit. I'm going to put 2 dimensionals on the bottom, and then instead of putting a 3rd dimensional here on the top, I'm going to put my 3rd dimensional right here on the card. Why did I do that? I did that because I don't want the sticky to go on the other part. I don't want it to stick together. So by doing that, I can now position this down, and I've got it all tacked in behind. Okay? Now, there's one more piece to this card. Right? I felt like it needed something little, so I took another piece of DSP from that Botanical Butterfly celebration paper, and I'm just going to come in here, trim it out. Let's see, we'll use the orange one. So just take your paper snips. Now we did this on the card on Wednesday. We trimmed out a butterfly from a different piece of paper. So same idea. Use those paper snips, just go around. It's okay if it's got a little halo, it's all going to blend. So bear with me while I trim around my edges. Now I don't cut the little antenna, I go in and then I come up and around and I cut like a little triangle around them. If you want to trim them off, you go right ahead, it's your card. Make it your way. You know, and this is my over the top card, so I'm adding a lot of different elements into it and using different tools, but I'm also doing it for a demo swap. So the idea about a demo swap is use what you can, make other people interested in something you've used so that we can promote it. So now I'm just going to add that to my glue dot, and I'm just going to stick that right there. Right? Okay. Now, if you're going to stamp a card, we're going to stamp the envelope. So this is where this guy came in. Now this one I've mounted on a block, and I'm just going to, because it's really big, I'm just going to flip it and ink it that way. And then I'm just going to bring it in on the corner, stamp that down. So now I've got a decorative envelope to go with my hand-stamped card, and we did it. So that didn't take an exorbitant amount of time, right? Some patience with prepping all your pieces, but that's fun. And it went together really easy. So now we've got this great 3D project with fun free paper from Celebration, and we really just stepped it up from the previous one. So that was my over the top. Let's remember, these were the ones I did on Wednesday, right, where I stepped it up just a little bit. I switched over to the balmy blue paper and we trimmed out the butterflies. And then on Monday, this was our simple stamping, where we just used paper, ink, and stamps, and that DSP kept it really simple. But look at those cards. Aren't they fabulous? Aren't they fun? So there you have it, another week of our simple stamping, step it up stamping, over the top stamping. So it's still Celebration. Every $50 order you place, you do get to pick a Celebration item for free, and the DSP is one of those options. On February 15th, we're going to be releasing a few more Celebration options for you, and then on March 1st, we're going to have some fun coordinating options for you to go with some of these free stamp sets that you can purchase. So stay tuned for those as well. If you shop online with me, use the online host code and you're entered into my drawing at the end of the month. If your order is over $150, yay, lots of fun Stampin' stuff. Don't use the host code, use all those Stampin' rewards for yourself. I will still enter you into my drawing at the end of the month. So check out my website, guys. See my VIP program. Thumbs up, comment here, or hop over to the blog and thumbs up and comment over there. I post the same project over there on the same day I release the video here. And I hope you all do some fun stamping this weekend. So go try out putting your stuff together. Use some of those fun dies you've got in your collection. Pair it with some new stuff and do some fun stamping. Alright, have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.